Delegates have been meeting all week here at the Republican National Convention. It is Thursday. It is the final day. In just a few short hours, Donald Trump will officially accept the party's nomination. I feel like we've seen very little from Congress in terms of immigration reform. What are you suggesting, given your experience? Reisinger took many of her classes behind me here in Bartlett, but now, just a few footsteps away and 57 years newer, she's one of many to take classes and advise her peers at the newly renovated South College. The vice president ended today by saying he wants to make it clear that the United States' private and public sectors are unwilling to postpone care for cancer any longer. Sugar making is more than just a hobby for those that produce it. They collect the sap from the trees, which is then used to make products inside sugar houses like Steve's behind me, which are then sold, ultimately contributing to the local economy. Recent studies show popular dietary supplements may not be worth the money. Steve's Sugar Shack opened for business in 2001. For owner Steve Holt, sugar making has been a way of life since he was 12.
It's a very traditional thing to do, and as I said, almost everybody can go out and do it.
Today, he hosted about 24 guests, half of which were other sugar makers, and kicked off the start of maple season.
Congratulations.
Holt and his wife accepted a proclamation signed by Governor Charlie Baker declaring March as Maple Month in Massachusetts. Sugar making is more than just a hobby for those that produce it. They collect the sap from the trees, which is then used to make products inside sugar houses like Steve's behind me, which are then sold, ultimately contributing to the local economy. In 2016, Massachusetts produced a record 77,000 gallons of syrup. That sums up to
$6 million worth of agricultural product added to the Massachusetts economy.
Holt says the process of making maple syrup is simple but complicated. He encourages others to try.
If you start your own small sugar house, what you will find is you will become a magnet.
For those who haven't come out yet, I urge them to come out now because once you come out for the first time, you'll get hooked.
The season lasts until the beginning of April. James Villalobos, Amherst Wire, West Hampton. Terica Rogers is a single mom of 3 kids in Flint. The contaminated water has caused more than just an inconvenience.
My son's hand was breaking out in rashes. My daughter's skin was having black spots all over it. And they weren't able to tell me what was causing it.
Her son Malik said his hands would become red, which led to irritation.
The skin was tearing off. Like, my whole hand was red. When I tried to touch something, it burned.
Her kids have since recovered, but it's a situation she can't escape.
Now I want to move, but don't have the funds to go.
Instead, she continues to live in her Atherton East apartment while not using its water. Many distribution centers have been established around the city to help residents like Rogers, one of those being her nearby fire station. She relies heavily on these donations for the sake of her kids.
And ever since I keep them out of the water, they've been doing good.
Yesterday alone, she says the family used 5 cases of water, all of which she keeps stored in her basement.
Right,
These bottles are made for drinking, but
you have to use it for everything.
Rogers was born and raised in Flint, and while that's the case, she hopes her kids
make it and achieve their goals.
Do you think that that's attainable here in Flint?
No.
Her son, however, is holding out hope.
Something that makes it good. Like how many people live here in the population.
In Flint, Michigan, James Villalobos, Amherst Wire. Really Jessica Brown and her 4-year-old daughter Zori celebrated Easter with different company today. They joined the First Family.
Just to say thank you for his hard work and everything he's endured during the 8 years that he's been in office.
An estimated 35,000 people packed the South Lawn at the White House to take part in the annual Easter egg roll.
We want to celebrate our nation. Everything that makes us strong, it's our diversity, it's our values.
While the President and First Lady took part in a variety of activities as they have the past 8 years, this one was different.
Today is a little bit bittersweet for us because this is the Obama administration's last Easter egg roll. Yeah.
The First Family enjoyed the egg roll, reading to the children, and an obstacle course in the Rose Garden. For many, like Gwenny and Matthew Rowe of Virginia, it was their first time seeing the Obamas.
Oh, it's really exciting. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
For Maya Watson of Maryland, who came with her mother and friend, it's an experience she'll never forget and is excited to share with others.
I saw Barack Obama and I saw First Lady, and I hope my teacher makes lets me make an announcement about it.
At the White House, James Villalobos, Amherst Live.